I'm back on the f100. I got an old B&M ratchet cable shifter here. I took that old Mustang piece of junk out of there. I figured I'd try to get this thing to work right. And so I got it mounted in the floor about where it's going to go. And it's like a 6-foot cable. You can see it sticking out of here. It's gonna be a little trouble rooting it around to miss all the stuff under here. We have to, from the floorboard there, gonna have to take it over the cross member. The back of it has got to go about right here. And as you can see, I got, 3-4 feet of cable. So I think what I'm going to do is run it forward as much as I can get it up there. Run it over the spring. Back around here over the cross member. And then up there to the shifter. So I'll try to get that in and see if I can give you a shot of what it looks like. Well, that's not so pretty, but I made myself an end for this. I just welded some bolts off. I cut the end of this cable off and welded a bolt on it. And this should go through my shifter. I'll have to make me a bracket for this. That's what I'll do now, is crawl under there and hook this up, and then see what I can do about making a bracket. I gotta take a couple pan bolts out and fool around with that, but we'll get under it and look and then know a little better. There it is, all the way up in the park. And it looks like I'm gonna have to make a bracket right about the back of this pan. That's probably right about the level of the pan. I'm just going to go to that back bolt, and I need another one there, that front bolt. Maybe I can put some washers in there. I know I had a couple of these brackets before, and they wanted to hit the pan. So I'll have to figure out some way of doing that, or cut a little groove out of the pan or something. Anyway, I got to take those 2 bolts out of there. I want to see what I can come up with. That's what I came up with. Just a piece of angle iron that'll fit on top of that transmission plate. Go over those 2 nuts and weld on there, and my shifter cable will go through this vent place here. I've measured it, it all looks good. So what I gotta do now is just tack this plate to those nuts. Take the whole thing out and weld it a little better on the back, and cut off this end here and make that a little square. And I think that should be good enough and strong enough to move that little old shifter. And I still have plenty of adjustment in it, so I think that's good. This piece done here, I tacked a bolt on it and then opened it up with a die grinder, so this will bolt up to the pan, clear my lip at the pan a little, and this shifter rod should go through my hole here good. Put a couple nuts on it and I should be able to bolt it up. Well, there we go. Got it up into the transmission good. Got a good bolt in it here. I got enough room, just barely put a lock nut on. And I would have liked it to be a little more towards the outside because I got a bit of an angle in it, but everything is tight. And I've got room here to, I think I can put my shifter cable up here like that. Tie it around this frame mount. It'll be up out of the way and have plenty of slack in it. Not hitting anything hot. This is my exhaust pipe. Pull it up a little more. I don't know how far this this drag link's gonna take it, but it's in reverse right now, so anyway, I'll see if I can wire this up a little better instead of just hanging here. But I'm kind of pleased with this. It's an ugly job, but part of it I had bad. It was hard to weld up in there and I couldn't see, and so my spot welds were lumpy. But anyway, now I know what I'm doing. You know, I could take another piece of that angle iron real easy and make another bracket. I got the distance of the holes. I could have measured those in the beginning, but it's really solid, and I've got the shifter mounted to the floor real solid up there with 3/8 bolts. I need to fix that hole, but anyway, looks like this shifter bracket's good to go. The old one, since I plugged that power valve, it runs all right. It got no power at all, but it just goes back and forth. I'm not sure about my linkage. I'll have to figure out whatever's going on between the new one and the bad one, and we'll just start by stripping it off and comparing them side to side. The fuel inlet, I've got a barbed thread here. It's way too big for this carburetor, so I'll have to find something. It looks like my accelerator thing is going to be good here on this one. This has got an electric choke on it, where this had a manual. That's easy enough to deal with. I can run a power wire to that. This is quite a bit bigger carburetor. I don't have a stud for the air cleaner. I can make something there, but the main thing, I'm going to have to get some kind of a fuel fitting for this. I don't think it's a 1/4 inch MPT. It looks like it's fine threads. I might have something in my brass fittings. I'll just have to try to find something I can make work to put fuel in it. Find here in all my junk is a brake line fitting. This carburetor takes a bubble flare. But I've got a brake line fitting here that looks like it'll go into it, and I can seal that with pipe tape. The hole's way too small for gas. Probably not for this carburetor. and I've got a big hose on it, so I can use this fitting off the old carburetor. I've also got this. It's brass. Brass to brass would be best. So I'm gonna, this is a oil line. So I'm gonna drill it out, get a bigger hole in it. This big end will fit in the carburetor, and this little end will almost fit in that brass. So I'm going to cut that brass nipple off and put this together and solder it in. That should give me some kind of a decent hose hookup that won't leak. Those two pieces put together, I'm just going to solder this here. Clean brass to clean brass ought to make a pretty good fit. I have to be careful that I don't put a lot of pressure on it when I go to put it in or out. Well, there's that. I got plenty of solder on it, and I covered that in with lots of Teflon tape. I left me a place to put a wrench on here, so it's screwed in good and tight. I don't think that'll leak. Now, next thing, I guess, just try to get this carburetor on the motor. Still got a good gasket on there, so it went right on. Figured it would. So looks like I can go ahead and bolt it down and try hooking up my linkage. Get that all straight and make sure it don't leak fuel. That all went on without a hitch. Even my old funky throttle cable and everything hooked up, the kick down hooked up, and it's working. I used this vacuum port here. It's the highest port, and there's one more over here on the left by the choke. That's the lowest one, so I'm assuming that that's a manifold vacuum, and this is ported vacuum. But looks like it's in good. Guess I can turn it over a few times and see if I got any fuel leaks, and then try to start it. Easy enough. Just immediately died. And when I was looking at this idle screw, it was set awfully low. So I'll try it once more. See if I can set you up with a camera where you can see. Oh, maybe you can, maybe you can't. Try it and see. Well, it sure sounded like it's got a big air leak in it somewhere. Everything on the carburetor was plugged off. Could be that I just don't have the idle set high enough. I'll give this another half turn. I'm trying to look through the camera here. Well, that definitely moved it. Could have something. Definitely an air leak. Barely runs when I hold it about half throttle, so I've got something going on with it. I'll have to try to find that. Anything obvious, but here's the gasket that I had on it before, and here's this one. It's 5 times as thick. The carburetor itself, I can't see that it is leaking anywhere. I got plenty of gas in it. But it must be somewhere there. Here's my 2 ports. I'm assuming that's a ported vacuum, and this is manifold because it's lower. But this big gasket, I can't really see where it would cover or not cover anything. Might be a little trouble to get my bolts on it. But anyway, I'm assuming that maybe that was it. Maybe that's why the other carburetor was having troubles. I don't know, but what I am going to do is seal that other bottom spacer gasket real good with some sealer, and I'm going to use this fat one on here. Hope my bolt's long enough and see what happens. On, I use some gasket maker. It's like a silicone stuff. Works good. 90-minute gasket maker. It hardens up in about 90 minutes. And I put that manifold spacer back on there and gasketed both sides of it and used the gasket maker on it. And I used that big thick gasket that came with the carburetor. And bolted it all down good. It's been setting about a half hour, so it should be good to go. Well, let's see if we can start it up. Try to set you up here. I just don't want to turn my phone. Take a dive and kill everything. That's pretty good. Maybe the phone won't fall into the fan. Looks like that's a success. Adjust my vacuum and stuff. Sounds really good. Very smooth. Got a little missing in here. This side's a little louder, but basically running good. So I'll play with my air screws now and see what I can get. Idling at 750 RPM. Got a little smoke coming out of here, but I'm sure that's oil again. It smells good. This side smells good. So, looks like this carburetor is ready to go on the shelf. And I think part of the trouble was my gaskets. But once I sealed that all up, everything seemed to work real well. I'm back on the f100. I got an old B&M ratchet cable shifter here. I took that old Mustang piece of junk out of there. I figured I'd try to get this thing to work right. And so I got it mounted in the floor about where it's going to go. And it's like a 6-foot cable. You can see it sticking out of here. It's gonna be a little trouble rooting it around to miss all the stuff under here. I moved on with this a little further. I cut me a piece of stainless there and patched the big hole they had in there for a floorboard, and bolted this shifter a little more solid. It all seems to work pretty good now. Taped up the handle so it don't chew me up so bad. So looks like that got my run and drive and shift done. Still got to run power here to the seats, and the wiper, when I put power to it, it's kicking off the little circuit breaker in there, so have to run another power wire to it. I've got lots of wires left from some of the rat rod projects that I did. I'll let this thing cool off. Just touched the starter, fired right up, made me a little carburetor stud for it. So I got some pretty heavy wire laying around here. I think I'll just splice something there from the battery, and I think I have a big heavy fuse somewhere. Run me a wire in there for the seats and the wiper without a circuit breaker in it, so then I can get up here and pull this out, see if the linkage is working at all. Looks like I got one. Don't know if that's the wiper's worn out or the linkage, but it looks like I got both linkages. So anyway, little wiring problem here, and I think I'll run something in there and call it a day. I'm getting kind of tired. At least I got that carburetor deal fixed, and that shouldn't give me any more trouble. I got me a power wire and a ground in. It's not hidden or anything, but seat works fine now. And I hooked it back into the wiper wire, that blue one hanging there, and it would just run for a second, ding, knock off the circuit breaker. So apparently where I've got that red wire running is after the circuit breaker. I thought it was going to the power from the battery, but it looks like it's from the circuit breaker to the battery. So play around with this another day. At least I got a power wire in, and I can figure out how to hook it up later. Main thing is it's at least partially done, and I got my wiper motor back together. It's just stuck up there for right now. but at least it's going to run and drive. I'll give it a little test here and see how well it takes the throttle. I changed the spring on it. It's really dark in there, but I got a hook to the back pulling forward. My old spring, it was a big heavy one, I've got it disconnected, and the kick down I hooked it up quite a bit better, so should be good to go here. And old Mr. Rusty Ford gets another day. Tender loving y'all.